What up? This is Rama Screen, and in the anticipation of The Devil Conspiracy arriving in theaters January 13, I'm here talking with one of the stars of this film, Joe Anderson. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thank you for taking the time. I don't know if you remember this, but a decade ago, I interviewed you for The Grey.
Oh my goodness, that's 10 years. Wow.
Yes.
That's a long time.
Time flies. Yeah, back then we weren't doing any Zoom or anything like that. But good to have you back. I've been a big fan of yours, of course. Supremacy, the Ballad of Lefty Brown, which leads us to The Devil Conspiracy. I watched it recently, very much enjoyed it. A dark supernatural horror thriller with lots of biblical references, if you will. And you play Lucifer in this film. Let me start by asking you, Joe, what drew you to this project, and how did you get on board The Devil Conspiracy?
Well, Nathan sent me the script, the director, and I, he said, "Do you want to play the devil?" And of course, immediately, the kid in me went, "Yeah, of course I do." And then I read the script, and I was sort of intrigued, well, fascinated with the idea of science and religion coming together, and genetics, and just, I mean, it's very apt. We see this sort of this topic with the kind of Sumerian culture and that whole ancient alien thing, and I just thought it was a great premise to explore as a film. You've got both sides of the aisle. You've got technology, you've got science, and then you've got religion, and the two blend in this movie incredibly well, and so to be the catalyst for that problem was just a good opportunity.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. I watched it and it was very Dan Brown-esque, like the Da Vinci Code-esque. I loved it. And when reading a script like that, Joe, that contains mythical, spiritual language, situation, and elements, especially with you having to perform as Lucifer, did that require you to do your own research a bit on perhaps fallen angels or archangels? Did you have to do research about Shroud of Turin? Or did you mostly rely on what Ed Allen wrote on the pages and only that?
Well, I'm quite aware of in my spare time. It's the combination of science and religion, and that meeting at the moment, which is happening at the moment. I mean, things to do with the Hadron Collider and what have you. So I'm interested in that anyway. And one of the things that hit me first was, okay, how many devils have there been, and how have they been played, and what type of what take am I gonna give? And so I had an idea until I got out to Prague. And I saw the visuals, I saw the previs for the makeup and for the design. And suddenly I went, oh, wow, the character that I thought I was coming up with has to change, because it's not going to fit that look. And so suddenly I had to sort of rejig what I was thinking with him. And it became much more of a sort of physical transformation for me, as opposed to an intellectual one. And then really it was just relying on what was on the page, because he as he pops up in the film, it's very concentrated in the moments that he does. He's, without giving too much away, he's thinking a lot about what's going on upstairs or above ground. So there was a lot that I had to sort of read ahead through the script, so that I knew that in my head, and that I could play those moments essentially to nothing, standing with a camera right there. So it was unlike other roles where I can sort of pre-plan and develop a character and then execute it. It was like I pre-planned, developed, then I had to chuck that out the window and replan and develop very, very quickly again. So, but it was fun. It was a good challenge.
Lucifer is a fascinating character, right? There had been many renditions or versions of the devil over the years in cinema. Gabriel Byrne's in End of Days is one of my favorites. Of course, yeah. Tom Ellis played Lucifer in that popular show. Now, I've seen your film, but tell my viewers, what type of Lucifer are you playing in The Devil Conspiracy? What can they anticipate about your version or your personality of Lucifer?
The Lucifer that I am playing is the Lucifer who was literally just being cast out of heaven.
Hmm.
So it is, I suppose in a sense, he's almost a virgin devil.
Hmm.
In a sense, we haven't got into his time on Earth, really. This is what this film is about, the genesis of him being on Earth. And so, it was a guy who is in the most raw form a fallen angel, and that was there was no human, there was no, how do I say it, there was no sort of contemporary modern day man affectations. So the guy was not a martini drinking, sipping, suave devil guy. He literally has just been cast out and has landed in hell, been chained there, and is burnt from head to foot, and is in agony, and so it's very visceral, and I let the look of the character kind of dictate how I moved and how I sounded. I mean, I couldn't speak for 3 or 4 days after filming it because my voice was so hoarse, but yeah, so it was an interesting way of getting to the character. It's not the usual way.
Yeah, you did so well. Yeah, you're right. Your Lucifer is all business. He's on a vendetta. He's angry. And you mentioned looks and character designs. I want to ask you about that because your appearance as Lucifer is very unique and very gnarly. Was that all practical makeup effects, or was that CG? Can you talk to us about that?
Millennium Effects. They're based just outside of London here. They're extraordinary. I went out there to their workshop, and they basically, if I remember correctly, they cast my entire head, and I think they cast some other parts of my arms and maybe upper chest, but basically everything was real.
Wow.
There was no, I mean, I think within the movie itself there might be slight color augmentation or a slight glow or a burn, sort of like a molten lava kind of thing, but everything else was absolutely there. So I mean, walking to set, I was walking to set as that guy. There was no blue or green or anything on there at all. It was also, I mean, they're foam pieces, so it started to rain one day, so I did start to fill up a little bit with water, because it sucked it in. So but it was cool. It was raining in hell, and it was cool.
So here's a fun question for you. Which one took longer or more uncomfortable to put on? Was it this one as Lucifer, or was it when you played Mason Verger on Hannibal series? Because that looked like you had to sit in the makeup chair for a number of hours.
Well, yeah, Mason was, he was tricky. Not only that, but the piece. Hang on, we had 3 pieces, I think, or 4 pieces, but it was the blend on the lips. Blending because he didn't have any lips.
Yeah.
So and then we're shooting in Toronto, and it's minus whatever it is, 10 degrees outside. So every time you stepped out of the heated set into the other part of this huge mansion that we were filming in, it was freezing. So you would get condensation. So I'd start to drip out of the mask, so they were constantly coming in and re-gluing your lips, and if you closed your mouth, if you forgot, they're touching you up every 5 seconds, so, and you forget, and then you glue your mouth together, and then you've got to ask someone to unglue, unstick your mouth. But I think, I mean, in terms of endurance, I'd take Mason any day over the devil. I mean, that was a big piece, and it was full bodied. So that was the tougher out of the 2, if that's a word.
Kudos to you, man. You pulled it off convincingly. Now, I think it's fair to say that you share the most screen time in this film with one of my favorite actors, Peter Mensah, who plays Archangel Michael. Big fan of Peter, big fan of 300. What's it like working with Peter on this project? Because The Devil Conspiracy is rather, it's pretty dark and heavy, the tone of the film. So in between takes, did you get to goof off with your fellow co-stars, or did you keep your distance to keep that Lucifer versus Michael mindset?
No. Peter and I had a great time. We explored. Because we only shot for, what was it, like 3-4 days. I mean, I think it was 3 days on set, which is crazy because we didn't get to meet anybody else. But Peter and I had a great time. I think we sampled many in a restaurant in Prague and ate a lot. But as for filming, it was tricky because they had these huge fans, big wind machines too. So we got onto set and we started to film, and he opens his mouth and starts speaking, and I can't hear a single word he's saying because of the noise of the effects, So we're both standing there looking at each other's lips, trying to figure out, have you stopped speaking? Is it my turn to come in now? Okay, cool. I'll go. So there was a little bit of that made us kind of laugh, a few times. But at the same time, you're doing something so intense that it's, you're not allowed to laugh because it's like laughing at the wrong time. So then you get the giggles and you're gone. But no, we had a good time. And not only that, I think I got a sore neck because I have a neck piece on, and Peter's quite tall.
Yeah.
So I'm like this, trying to talk to him with this metal collar on, and wondering why every time we went out for dinner in the evenings, why it felt like my Adam's apple was bruised. It's because, Peter, could you just come down a little bit, please? But it was great fun. He's a good guy.
Well, the plight of an actor. That's why I respect you guys.
It's so tough, man.
All right, Joe. I'll tell my viewers to go watch The Devil Conspiracy. And finally, what's next for you, Joe? What can you tease us about The Last Front? When will we be able to see that movie?
Hopefully towards the end of next year. It's a First World War film about the Germans invading a Belgian village. Ian Glenn is the lead, and it's a very nicely sort of balanced story. It's not the Germans are the bad guys coming. We spend time with equal amount of time with both sides, and we really sort of get to know the characters on both sides and see it from their point of view. So for me, it was a completely different take on a war movie, and it has a lot of heart. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing it.
Looking forward to it as well. All right, for my fans at home, everybody go check out The Devil Conspiracy, arriving in theaters January 13. Joe, thank you for talking to me, and congratulations.
Thank you.